Welcome to this deep dive. We're looking at some really fascinating source material today.
Absolutely. We're moving beyond just finding life out there.
Yeah, way beyond. We're jumping into this idea that, well, these massive structures around stars, they might not just house intelligent life.
They might actually be the intelligence. Minds the size of solar systems.
It pulls together so many fields, doesn't it? Speculative astrophysics, AI theory.
Astroengineering, philosophy about consciousness. It's a real mix.
Exactly. So our goal here is to unpack this really surprising idea from the sources that thinking isn't just for, biological brains.
Or even silicon chips as we currently understand them.
Could intelligence really scale up that much? Cover a whole solar system? Okay, let's unpack this.
So the foundation for all this is the Dyson sphere concept, right?
Right. Many of you listening probably know it. Freeman Dyson, back in 1960.
He proposed that really advanced civilizations type 2 on that Kardashev scale.
The ones using their entire star's energy output.
They need something huge to capture it all.
A colossal structure. Though, as the sources point out, he wasn't really thinking of a solid shell.
No, that's got huge mechanical stability problems. He pictured more of a Dyson swarm.
Like countless individual satellites or habitats orbiting the star, collecting energy.
Exactly. The original idea was purely practical, solving an energy crisis on an interstellar scale.
And it gave us a way to potentially find them. Look for stars that seem dimmer than they should be.
Or that radiate a lot of heat in the infrared. That waste heat from the structure itself.
It was a concrete sign to look for, a techno-signature.
It pushed SETI beyond just listening for radio signals, looking for physical evidence.
Okay, but here's the twist the sources introduce. It's a big one.
Well, what if?
What if that structure, the swarm, wasn't just built by intelligence?
But was the intelligence?
Yeah.
The mind is the megastructure.
Not a container, but the consciousness itself.
It completely reframes how we might think about alien intelligence. Not little green men, not robots necessarily.
But maybe vast distributed thinking machines orbiting a star.
And, this connects surprisingly well to things happening right now with AI.
Doesn't it just, look at these huge AI models we have now. GPT-4, AlphaFold.
Their intelligence isn't in one single spot. It's distributed.
Spread across thousands of processors in data centers, all working together.
Right? Distributed computation.
So the sources say, imagine that principle, but scaled up astronomically.
What if the Dyson swarm is the network? Billions of nodes, satellites, orbiting the star.
Functioning as a single colossal brain.
Processing information on an unbelievable scale, communicating maybe via light pulses or maybe even quantum entanglement for faster-than-light links within the system.
The sources even suggest specialized modules within the swarm.
Yeah, like different parts doing different jobs.
Yeah.
Logic, memory, maybe creativity. Even something like emotion, like brain regions, but made of orbiting hardware.
There's a term for this the sources bring up from astroengineering.
Neural megastructure. People like Nick Bostrom have explored these ideas.
It's a powerful analogy, isn't it? Our brain, billions of neurons. A Dyson mind, billions of satellites.
It really forces you to question what a brain even needs to be made of.
Which leads directly to another key concept in the sources, substrate independence.
Ah, yes. This is crucial. Philosophers like David Chalmers have argued for this.
The idea being that consciousness or intelligence might not depend on the stuff it's made from.
Exactly. Not necessarily flesh and blood, not necessarily silicon. What matters is the pattern, the information processing, the complexity of the connections.
So if the information flow is right, the structure could wake up, regardless of whether it's biological or, orbital hardware.
That's the hypothesis. If substrate independence holds true, then a sufficiently complex networked Dyson swarm could, in principle, be conscious.
Okay, so let's get practical for a second. If such a thing existed, what would it need to actually function as a mind? The sources mention a few things.
Well, obviously energy, tons of it. But the star provides that. That's the whole point of the structure.
Right, check. Then, computation.
Handled by the swarm itself, the interconnected nodes. Check.
Memory. You'd need enormous storage.
Maybe vast, cold storage satellites further out from the star, holding the mind's memories or data.
And this seems key, coherence. How do all those billions of parts act as one thing?
That's a huge question. Maybe, as we said, quantum entanglement, providing instantaneous links across the swarm, or maybe specific hub satellites coordinating everything. Without that unity, it's just a bunch of computers.
Not a single consciousness.
Right. But interestingly, the sources say the biggest challenge probably isn't energy. or even coherence.
What is it then?
Heat. Waste heat from all that computation. Entropy.
Ah, the universe's ultimate party pooper.
Pretty much. Managing the heat generated by trillions of processing units running constantly would be an immense engineering challenge.
It's interesting because Freeman Dyson himself wrote about life in the far future.
Thinking you would have to slow down dramatically, become very cold, to conserve energy and minimize entropy over cosmic time.
But this Dyson Mind concept, it's happening during the star's active hot phase, right?
Exactly. It implies a period of potentially very fast, intense computation and consciousness, fueled directly by the star, but always battling that heat waste.
There's that quote in the sources from Dr. Anders Sandberg.
Oh yeah, a thinking star? No. But a star surrounded by intelligence made of it. That's plausible.
It draws that line perfectly. The intelligence is the structure around the star.
Yeah, the structure, yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears slightly, if these things, these Dyson Minds, could be out there, how would we find them?
Well, SETI is already evolving, moving beyond just listening for deliberate messages.
Towards looking for those techno-signatures we mentioned, the passive evidence of technology.
And for a Dyson Mind, the signatures could be quite specific, according to the sources.
The unusual infrared excess heat, obviously, that's the classic Dyson sphere sign.
But also, strange patterns of the star dimming. Think of Tabby's star, those weird, irregular dips in brightness. Some people speculated megastructures.
Right. While that explanation didn't quite pan out for Tabby's star, it shows the kind of anomaly we might look for.
You'd also look for unnatural orbital mechanics, objects in orbits that just don't make sense naturally. Highly structured, maybe.
Planets don't usually fly in perfect formation.
Precisely. And also, detailed analysis of the waste heat. Does its spectrum look like just inert dust? Or does it have signatures suggesting, computation? Complex energy management.
Jason Wright's idea, mentioned in the sources, that these infrared signatures might point to cognitive architectures.
Not just power plants, but thinking machines.
Seeing a star's heat signature not just as energy collection, but potentially as the glow of thought itself. Wow!
It definitely changes the search parameters.
So, if they could exist and we have ways to potentially look, why haven't we seen any? The sources touch on this too.
Well, there are the usual explanations. Maybe they're just incredibly rare. Or maybe we haven't looked long enough or well enough.
Or the more speculative ideas like the zoo hypothesis.
Right, the idea that they see us but deliberately choose not to interfere. Or an exhibit, maybe.
Or, and this one really fits the scale we're talking about, maybe their time scale is just completely alien to us.
If you're a mind spanning light minutes or light hours, maybe your thoughts unfold over centuries or millennia.
To us, looking for changes over years or decades, they'd appear completely static. Like cosmic statues.
We're going to be staring right at one and just a slightly unusual star.
So wrapping this up, this dive into the sources really pushes the boundaries. The possibility that Dyson Spheres aren't just engineering projects.
But potentially the next evolutionary stage for consciousness itself. Cosmic scale minds.
It suggests the universe might have already scaled intelligence up, way beyond biology, way beyond silicon.
Into these vast orbiting structures, running on starlight.
It makes you think, doesn't it? If intelligence isn't locked inside a skull, if it could exist at that scale.
What other forms could it take? Where else might consciousness be hiding in the cosmos?
Maybe the most profound intelligence out there isn't sending signals, it's just thinking. Radiating waste heat we haven't yet learned to read properly. What's the biggest takeaway for you from all this?